So my good. Oh shit. This could be a very terrible stream. I'll give you a preface right now if you're watching. I appreciate you guys. I have Ricola. They've been working really well. I am still under the weather, but man, I just had to go live, dude. I was kind of losing my mind a little bit. Okay. Hello, welcome everybody. It's your boy Vladis, still under the weather, still sick, but man, there's just been so much stuff that's been happening. It's just crazy. We got guilds a little bit self-imploding that that I've been hearing about. We got a guild, one of the major guilds on the virus server. You know, our boy Burns. We love Burns. His guild Dopamine, or I would say Tanner's guild Dopamine, basically dissolved for now, right? And Zyback, you know, my favorite fighter, the fighter that I aspire to be one day. Can you hear that really badly? I'm trying to be as far away as I can. Just put out a video about an hour ago, and I would love to kind of hear the little bit. I mean, I can kind of imagine what happened. It's just, and this is the thing. If you've been watching me for any length of time, which I would say the majority of you are, I mean, I would say the people that come and watch my stream in the very beginning are the people that watch me pretty consistently, would know I've been preaching burnout. I've been preaching, you know, take your time, you know, don't go hard. We have years ahead of us, you know, just, and if you need a break, take a break, you know, but I think burnout for some is a little bit inevitable. It just is. If you're this game requires a level of organizational skills and sophistication that most MMOs don't require. Let's just be honest here. If you're one of those people that loves understanding systems and working together as a group and orchestrating those decisions as a group to execute at the highest level, this is a game that definitely scratches that itch. I mean, we all know that. But when it comes to that, there is a certain level that you have to kind of stay at in order to be competent, or I would say on the same level as other people, right? This is a competitive game. And when you're at that level and having to be at that level, it can cause people to get a little bit fatigued. So let me see, feeling better? I am. Compared to where I was last week, oh my God, my cough was way more constant than where it is now. Did I enjoy Jamie's interview? Jamie's interview, the way Jamie constructs his interviews is very Jamie. I'll put it to you that way. Very Jamie, very tangents of creation. I mean, there was some stuff that I probably would have reworded differently and how Jamie asked Steven those questions, but for the most part, we got a lot of really juicy information. So overall, it was a good interview. Sorry. People need to realize that in an alpha, you only have limited access to the full potential of the finished game. We don't have access to finished quest, gear, full maps, etc. Roderick, you're preaching to the choir, brother. I know. And what's so funny is that if you actually go to the Discord right now and go look at the weekly feedback, like the weekly feedback channel, and just go look at what people's issues are, right? Look at the top stuff and you'll start noticing trends of certain things. But I think people, and I think this is mainly the group, if I had to lump them into a certain category, the people that seem more agitated in their feedback I think are more of the key holders, like the people who just bought like the phase 1, phase 2 stuff. And the more methodical, more subdued feedback is probably coming from the pre-order pack people and the people that have been here for years. But this is the thing too of this game, in a lot of ways feels like early access. It really does. Like and that's why when people that go and played the beta in New World, people were literally comparing the beta from New World to Ashes of Creation. And I kind of can't blame them. If you go and compare where the beta was and how copied and pasted that crap was to where we are in the alpha, it's pretty comparable in my mind. And yet we're still missing classes. We're missing weapon types. Like, we're missing a lot of polishing and everything, but let's just be honest too, New World was also kind of missing a lot. So I mean, it kind of is what it is. Let me see. I'd rather go, okay guys, we're testing XYZ this week on Saturday. Here's level 25 gear and go and test it, etc. Then just Steven basically going, okay, you have eternal free will, enjoy the servers. Well, so, and that's the thing with the alpha, is they're basically wanting to treat it as a launch testing experience, like as a natural play experience. Okay. And to a lot of people, they feel like Intrepid isn't making more bolder moves. And Shadow Phoenix, thank you so much for the sub, dude. I really appreciate the support, man. Thank you. And personally, I'm in agreement with that. Like, I think Intrepid should do certain things. However, caveat, sometimes that could actually add more work than it's worth. If they did a major change to a system just to see, do you guys like it this way, don't like it this way? If we don't like it this way, is changing it back basically just causing more work in a sense? I don't know. Like, in my mind, as a tester and as a gamer, I wouldn't mind. But as a developer, I think I understand why they don't do that, especially in the live testing environment. That's why they're doing that kind of stuff in the PTR, which again, many people don't have access to, because that's exactly what they do in the PTR. They give us level 25 gear. They say, hey, we're going to do a node siege today. Hey, we want you guys to go do treasure maps in this area. Get this vendor, buy a bunch of treasure maps, buy a bunch of excavation kits, go do maps. That's literally what they do. So, let me see, was your, where was your cough Steven level? Glad you're better. I hope it's not Steven level. I mean, actually, my cough is way worse than Steven. Steven always has like a very dry cough. Mine is a deep, mucusy. I've been coughing up a bunch of phlegm. It sucks. Like, it really sucks. I'm trying to get all the phlegm out as much as I can. Let me see. I've got 3 level 25s now. I'm thoroughly addicted. And I think, again, this is why I'm still playing. I'm level 17. All of the people that I know that hit level 25 aren't playing. Like, they're just not playing. And for me, from my perspective, I'm enjoying the hell out of my gaming experience. Like, I log in, I do my professions. I've been making gear. I've been making excavation kits. I've been making treasure maps. I've been slightly grinding a little bit now. I've been finding a bunch of different routes to go for, like, my mining route, my herbing route, finding different lumberjacking spots. Like, I've been keeping busy in the game. And I've been finding a lot of bugs, been putting a lot of bug reports, and, you know, just kind of doing my part. But I'm not stressing, like, literally in any way. I'm in nowhere near stressing. And I think that's where a lot of people need to change their mentality, because I think many people are trying their hardest to play a game. And I think Steven said it during Jamie's interview. That's why they don't call us players, they call us testers, because that's exactly what we signed up for to do, is to test. And I understand how people can get carried away, or, you know, can see what this game is and just want to go barrel in balls deep and just test, right? Or to play, quote unquote, because there is some loops that you can play very extensively. and go very deep in. But once you've treaded that particular track, what else, right? And I think that's where these people are burning out. And again, to remain competitive, you have to basically stay on this kind of endless loop of these very minimal track systems, right? Because we haven't expanded yet. We haven't done any of this stuff yet. Yes, more specific spot testing would be nice. And again, like we do have that in PTR. It's a shame we can't have a little bit of that flavor in the live service environment, but I understand your point. Steven is apparently a side effect of one of his meds. Oh my God. Let's hope not. Oh. Did Steven go live today? I have not seen Steven go live, to be honest. I have not. He probably could go live any minute now, or maybe in an hour, or well. I honestly don't know how long I'm going to stream today. I kind of wanted to stream to see how my cough would be. Because I've been in Discord and I've been, talking in Discord, but sometimes I just get these coughing fits and it gets really bad sometimes. I'm hoping I don't have one while I'm live. Let me see. Jude just hit level 14 since phase 2, and I have so much stuff to do. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Well, and again, I'm glad you see it this way, but there's a lot of people who get in the honeymoon phase very quickly, and then they go all out to like hit level 25, get all the abilities, do all the things, and then they realize, oh, this is kind of it. And what their it is, I can't progress any higher. I don't have quests to do. I guess I just have to work on professions or do something else that I don't want to do. So many testers just want to level. And there's a finite amount of leveling you can do. Once you do that, what else? And that's what a lot of these testers find themselves, find what they're getting themselves into, Let me see. I have 2 characters at level 15. I'm not pushing anything. I do cycle through leveling, gathering, crafting, and both. And that's me too. Like I've been literally, dude, I've been trying to work with different people and making gear and realizing the pain points of processing fucking animal fat. I swear. Oh my God, dude. Animal fat is so annoying. But yeah, I've been finding, when I want to make a piece of gear and I'm like, oh, I need to make a slate armor mold, and then freaking animal fat, it's like you find these little pain points, you find these little problems, like, as far as what we can perceive as problems when it comes to crafting gear or whatever. For me personally, I would love if processing didn't require for you to have the same exact rarity across the board. I think it should just be like crafting and being able to like you can balance it, right? In a sense, you can use like a common, a legendary, a heroic, and then average out the rarity after that. Like, I don't see what the problem would be in that case, like, for processing, but that's just a quibble. Right now, I'm trying to basically go through a lot of my own personal issues that I've been feeling in the game and make a video about it. I have several videos that I have like in the can. And more in my head. I need to actually get them filmed and edited and everything like that. I've just been sick and it's just been very demotivating for me to do anything like that. Oh, sorry, but that is not correct. New World at its launch lacked too many things for an economy destroyed in the first 2 weeks, bugs that prevented play, gears that did not make any sense and had to be replaced because they generated bugs. The real launch of New World was 1.5 years when AGS was able to stabilize New World. In short, AGS sold New World in 2021 as if it were a finished game when it was practically needed 1.5 years of development to stabilize. Well, and again, that's just to stabilize. Look, New World was a complete debacle. It was a complete freaking debacle. But we literally, what's funny is we're also comparing about circa 8 to 10% of Ashes of Creation to New World's beta. I'm not really speaking on the launch of New World. And even if we were speaking to the launch of New World, knowing that Ashes of Creation lacks systems, also lacks classes, also lacks weapons, you could very easily still compare the two, which is nuts. The fact that we're comparing just about 8 to 10% of Ashes of Creation to a completed game is a fucking wild comparison in my mind. Like, let's just be real. Hey man, good to see you, dude. Good to see you, dude, PD. Thank you so much, man. Let me see, my character is level 11 and a half, and I just been testing and better understanding the systems. You know, Philip, that's honestly what I would suggest anyone to do. You know, play it casually. If you're having fun, keep playing. If you don't want to play that day, then don't play that day. We're at 5 days a week now. There's sometimes like I only play Ashes for a couple of hours. I don't feel like I need to play it all day. Now, yesterday, my wife, she took the kids. I was at home all day by myself. I played Ashes of Creation from 6:30 in the morning to about 8 o'clock at night. I played the shit out of it yesterday, and it was fucking awesome. So yeah, I had a great time. I really wanted to go live yesterday, but man, my freaking, my throat was killing me, and my cough was terrible. It was just, it wasn't a good time. Let me see. I don't think we're disagreeing at all, except in that I went back to 2 years after launch and it was still the exact same unfinished game. Then shrug. And yeah, Pockets, honestly, like there's content creators like our boy J Oddity, and he's a huge fan of New World. We also have another person, Willie. Jesus Christ. You know, our boy Willie, he loves New World, you know what I mean? But they would even tell you like the kind of debacle New World is still sort of in. Now, of course, they've had so much time yet to come out with more content and everything like that. But I also feel like the barrier of making an MMO has gotten extraordinarily low in many freaking gaming companies. It's ridiculous. Just the level of what it is to be a release candidate for these AAA companies. Now, Steven, he had a vision, you know, he still has a vision of what he wants Ashes of Creation to be released at. And the fact that we can compare 8 to 10% of current Alpha 2 to New World's beta, or even you can say day one of the New World launch to Ashes, is staggering. And just goes to show you the kind of passion and the kind of direction that an indie studio has compared to these AAA studios that have anywhere between 5 to 10 years to make their minimal product, which is wild. Let me see, like they didn't realize how long this was going to take. Oh, I'm sure they did realize how long this was going to take. Nice, and else played it a ton as well. Oh yeah, freaking nice. Jesus Christ. There's like, I was trying to think of Jay Oddity and then, you know, Willie, but yeah, even Nice and else played it a crap ton as well. But I'm sure even they would tell you of just like, it's the loops, right? It's the same loops. And that's what I think right now in Ashes, it's that same thing. So really, it's all about your state of mind when you're testing Ashes. If that starts being affected, then you might need to take a break. But don't take a break when you're already at the point of burning out. You know what I'm trying to say? Understand that, hey, this game isn't going to go anywhere, right? Like, if you want to go spend time with your family, if you want to go to your bro's house, if you want to go and just watch some anime or whatever, like, you know, like, do it. You know, I think what there's certain people that are doing is that they're playing it so much that they end up developing a resentment, and they start to hate the systems and hate how unfinished everything is and hate the bugs and hate all this stuff. And then they start going radical on Reddit, or they go radical in the Discord and start talking shit to Intrepid or talking shit to the devs. And it's that stuff that I'm telling people, like, hey, cool it, dude. No one has been saying, and I've been very active in the Discord and also on Reddit, no one's been saying this game's going to come out next year. So where are people coming from in wanting Ashes of Creation to be like, you should have thought about this, you should have fixed this bug, you should have done this? Like, bro, chill. Like, where's the daddy chill button? Let me hit that daddy chill. Okay. Make MMOs great again, dude. Absolutely, brother. Like they didn't. Oh yeah, I said that already. I would say playing A2, even at any point, I can go back and play New World since it's been available to me. There's a reason why I'm here in Ashes. Oh, same, dude. Good day, Vladis. When do you think we will see graphics? The graphics of the Alpha 2 development streams in production environment, phase 3 or later on. Yesterday I did a marathon of many of their streams, and the game feels different to that. Don't you feel the same? Because to be honest, that is what is most disappointing to me at the moment. So when you talk about the graphics, I feel like the graphics are pretty much a one-to-one from the stuff that we've seen a year ago to even 2 years ago. And again, even to the degree of like when I'm playing the game, well, mind you, if you're playing on cinematic settings or ultra settings, you're getting a completely different experience if you're comparing that to mid settings or low settings, because mid and low settings look like trash. Absolutely. And there's so many people's computers right now that can't handle high or ultra settings. So I would definitely agree with you if you are playing Ashes in mid settings and you're like, I don't understand why it doesn't look like the live streams, because in the live streams, every time they've been showcasing this game on the highest settings possible. So, let me see. What they stream is in a different specific build than what is live. Also, Steven streams in 4K. That's also true as well. It's a modern mentality of impatience. Well, and I think that's a bit of the case too, because I have seen people say that this game, I've heard people use the term early access. Oh, Ashes is in early access. And I think it's because you have a lot of these keyholder people that hadn't watched live streams or hadn't really done their homework as to like where Ashes is in the sense of like its development. And when what we say alpha, we're literally talking about a true alpha, you know. But I think there's also just this level of, it's just misunderstanding, really. It's naive. Like they're being naive and not knowing information because they just don't know. They're not going to look up something they don't know because they just don't know what to look up because they don't know. But yeah, I think it's just a lot of different little things here and there. So what I kind of wanted to do, let me see, graphics are insane on this game. What the fuck? So yeah, again, if you're playing on, you know, settings like cinematic settings like I am, go on low settings and play on that for 30 minutes. And believe me, I do treasure maps. So sometimes I just leave it in low settings and I'm like, ugh. Because I'm so used to looking at this game in the cinematic settings that when I look at this game in low, it looks terrible. Like, and again, it's for low, you know, for the low econ computers, right? And it's not even really low econ because there's some people that have some pretty good computers. Like I had a good computer, like my old computer is right there. You see that black box right here? That's my old computer. And my computer can barely handle just running Ashes without OBS because it's just that, because again, the game is not optimized. So I think, and to answer your question, I'm sorry, the person who asked me about the graphics, I think that's not really going to happen until beta 1 or beta 2. I think we're not really going to get those polish passes of graphics or even optimization passes until then. You have to understand how much is still left to be done as far as just the systems. Like there are so many unfinished systems, and there are so many systems that are currently in the game that still need like not even polish passes, but just broad stroke passes to, like, you know, the caravan system as an example. We've been testing the caravan system since day one, and there are still outstanding issues for that particular system because the caravan system has many things involved with it, right? It's not a basic system in that case, right? So let me see. I don't think the issue is the graphics. I think it's the issue is the world does not feel immersive. It feels like we need way less straight lines and maybe some forests that are permanent. I think that comes from your own taste. I mean, let me just speak it from my personal view of things, right? I played WoW for almost 17 years. I really never felt immersed in WoW. I played WoW because I just enjoyed the game. Like WoW to me looks so cartoony that people would say like, oh, but aren't you immersed? I'm like, what does that even mean? Like immersed in a cartoon? Like that's like me watching a beautiful anime like Demon Slayer, and as I'm watching, do I feel immersed in there? Well, I don't personally feel immersed in what I'm watching, but I enjoy what I'm watching, and that's sort of like my stance on that. You know what I mean? When I'm playing Ashes and I'm just looking at the sky or looking how the light hits at night or the moon rays, or just how detailed my golem looks, it's just I still like, I'm in awe, because in WoW it's always just had like a very, like, now it's better, right? Like, if you know, it's a lot better in WoW now as far as detailing, but detailing in WoW used to be shit. Like, so it just, I could never really feel that, you know what I'm saying? And that's fine. I'd 1,000 times rather have Ashes devs focus on improving Ashes systems than improving the beauty of Ashes, but they will improve the beauty of Ashes. It just won't happen probably until the betas. I am sorry, you misunderstood because I didn't write it correctly. I'm Italian and trying my best to write in English. Okay, dude, no problem. I didn't mean graphics. I meant graphic assets. For example, you can see during the village node stream that the assets are different to our current ones. Even the node level or the node layout is different. If you watch the seasonal effect, that zone isn't in the game. I feel like the alpha isn't as polished as the development stream showcased, but that's in my humble opinion. No, you're absolutely 100% correct. 100% correct. And it's because those systems, especially the seasonal stuff, affects performance on a completely high level. And if they were to put like a 1-for-1 from what you saw in the game would crash 100%. They're trying to, what they showcased was, is this what you guys like? Because once they understand, okay, they like this, we're going to try our best in the natural client to replicate that and also maintain performance, right? Because, and to the answer to the node layout stuff, absolutely. The node layout that we saw when we went into, I think it was Marileth, is not the Marileth node layout than what we currently see. And you have to understand, all those particular assets, all those things that we saw and how we saw them, we will see them eventually. It's just, again, this game has a certain process to it. You know, like they could just lop in those assets, right? But I believe the asset we saw was not a village level 3, it was a level 4. And we haven't seen a level 4 currently in the game. What alpha or what phase 2 was also going to bring was 2 more unique node layouts, which we have not seen yet. That could potentially be at the end of this month. It could be potentially the end of next month, or maybe it got pushed out into phase 3, just like dynamic gridding. I don't know. But that's the thing about an active development is, and this is, I think, what Narc's problem was, is he was too impatient. And so like when I say, guys, we have years, I'm not saying that for memes. I am not saying that for shits and giggles. Like, I truly mean that. We have years left to test Ashes of Creation. Ashes of Creation, in my mind, could launch in 2030. It could be another 5 years of actively testing 24/7 once phase 3 comes out. Now, is that what they want? I'm pretty sure not. But could it go that long? Absolutely. And 3 years minimum, I would bet. I bet the same thing too. And that's at a minimum. If we start, because look, what is happening right now with dynamic gridding? Why isn't it in the game? Because I'm pretty sure that when they try putting it in their own client for like the closed testers, for like Europe testers or the Mexico testers, the game gets bricked. And Steven also talked about the dynamic gridding affecting storage in nodes. because once the storage or the grid gets smaller, it's basically not accounting for the node anymore, and thus disappears your entire storage. Are people going to want to deal with that in the live client? I don't fucking think so, because people already get upset when they can't access a storage tab. And you mean to tell them they're not going to be able to access their entire storage? Like, it's just gone? That's the issues they got to face. And so this is why I've always said years, and if it is 5 more years, let it be 5 more years. Like, people, I've heard so many people, and let me know if you've heard someone in your Discord or someone in your guild say, if this game doesn't release in 20 whatever, this game's gonna die. Raise your vertical or your virtual hand in the air if you've heard someone say that, because let me tell you, it's a crock of shit. This game could literally launch in 2032 and people would still be fucking hyped to play it. I can also guarantee you that if GTA 6 put out a press release right now and said, guys, we need 4 more years. Shit came up. Stuff got broken. Sorry. You mean to tell me that GTA 6 in 2029 isn't going to do well? I think if they did do that, it would actually do better in 2029 than right now, because the hype would just get to such a freaking crazed degree that, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's why Ashes hasn't even marketed Ashes yet. There's no reason to hype up this game right now because they know they have so many years left to finish. Why are you going to hype up a game? Or like, it's not even a game. Like, why are you going to hype up like a piece of the game when the full game isn't coming out till like potentially 2030 or 2029? Like, there's no reason to do that. I made it, dude. Yes, you did, bro. Let me see, 2027 late to 2028, or 2027 late to 2028 late. I can see that. Let me see. I hope they release earlier by releasing a game with lesser features, religions, new biomes, and adding those features with free updates as No Man's Sky is doing. So actually, Ashes of Creation, is only going to have a monthly sub cost. There's not going to be any box cost. There's not going to be, for any expansion that Ashes of Creation does release, those will all be free. The only thing you will have to maintain in Ashes is paying $15 a month. That's it. So if you compare that to Final Fantasy 14, you compare that to Guild Wars 2, you compare that to World of Warcraft, you're getting way more bang for your buck in Ashes than what you will in those other MMOs. Because in those other MMOs, you have to buy the expansion, you got to, get the $15 a month, and that's like a lot of money. And some of those box costs are not $40 anymore. Some of them are $60, $70, $100, depending on which collector's edition you want to get. So it's pretty radical how crazy you can get. Let me see. Riot's MMO did the same thing. They spent 6 years making a game, and the last came out saying we need a restart. Cyber, 100%. And what's even crazier, they literally started all over. Because I'm pretty sure everything that they were creating with Greg, they just realized now that Greg is gone, we don't like this vision. Greg had the vision. He knew what he wanted to make for Riot. But there had to have been something that he was bucking against, that he didn't want to compromise on those principles. And he's like, I'm going to dip out. Like, I have a game that I want to make. You guys clearly don't want to make it like that. So I'm just going to leave. And that's what happened. And he left, and they tried to keep going with all the work they had, and they realized we kind of can't. Now they're probably going, all of the work on the assets, the art assets and everything, I'm pretty sure that's not going to go to waste. But it's the systems, it's the interplay, it's how they were creating those game loops. All of that shit is scrapped. So now they're going to start all over with the systems, basically. And if I had a guess on how they were going to make the right MMO, it's going to be like every other theme park MMO. I don't think Riot's going to do anything outside of ordinary. It's going to be just like World of Warcraft, just like Guild Wars 2, just like Final Fantasy. It's the same shit. So now, will it have the more Riot polish to it? Will it have probably better content? I would assume so, because it's Riot. But it also couldn't. I mean, who knows? Like, I don't fucking know. Yeah, the art is the same, but everything else is scratch. Absolutely. So I wanted to watch this video from our boy Zyback. He's going to kind of go over the whole, so my Ashes of Creation guild disbanded again. That's kind of the title. It's like, you know, like, sorry guys, you know, it is what it is kind of thing. I apologize. I'm gonna try to take another lozenge. God. We'll see how it happens. We'll see how it goes. All right, let's see what Zyback has to say.
So my guild in Ashes of Creation just disbanded again. Now, some of you guys are probably wondering, did you make a video about this last month?
He did.
That guild also disbanded. So here we are yet again. And this time it's not nearly as exciting. There was no e-dating, no Chauncey, no straw polls, none of the ridiculous crazy shit this time around. But the result is still the same. And I'm beginning to wonder if I'm the problem. Now, to defend myself a little bit, I was not an officer in any of these guilds, not a class lead.
It's like, am I the drama? You know, it's so funny. I actually saw Zyback in game yesterday, and I was like, he was literally on the stone, the Ember Stone. He's the problem. So he was on the Ember Stone, and I was on my Golem, and I was like, oh shit, Zyback. And I was going to type in, or I think I did type in, I was like, hey man. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, my Golem dies. And my Golem, you know, most mounts have like thousands of health. My Golem has 700 HP. And what was so funny, my Golem just died. And I was like, what the hell? I turn around, and it was literally the GM of Polar, Tim. He was trying to kill Zyback or hurt him or whatever, but killed my Golem, and thus he went corrupted. So then he had to get back on his flying mount and fly away because he got corrupted because he killed my Golem. It was so good. It was hilarious. And I was like, shit. And then, but he ended up actually killing Zyback, and then he had to hop back again to the Ember Spring, and then I just went into Merilith, and that was the end of that. It was fun.
0 gear handouts, just a normal member. But seemingly that's all it takes to destroy a guild, is just have me in your guild, and your guild will be gone in a month. So what happened? Why did my guild Dopamine disband? I'm going to break this down into 3 problems, starting from the biggest problem to the least biggest problem. So the number one biggest problem I saw with Dopamine is that people played the game way too much. I mean, holy crap, guys. This is an alpha video game, and I think probably the average...
Dude, you know the phrase terminally online? There are some people I have on my friends list that I would log in, and I would see, oh, they're playing. And I would come back and do shit with the wife and kids and log back in super late at night, and they're still playing. There are terminally online Ashes of Creation testers, and it's crazy.
Amount of time people were playing per day, like average 10 hours a day. Like, that's not even, I'm being dead serious. People played the absolute shit out of this alpha video game, and it's honestly amazing that we were still playing it that hard for a month. Some of the people, like, to put things into context, I was like a casual player in this.
I feel called out for that.
You guys don't know me as like a casual gamer. That's not what built.
Look, I just admitted earlier in the stream that I played Ashes of Creation from 6:30 in the morning yesterday till 8 o'clock at night. Okay. So I don't know if that's a bit of self-reporting there, but you know, I don't do that all the time is what I'm saying. Like, it's because I have a wife, I have kids. You know, it was a time where she was going to be gone. I had all day to play. So I just said, fuck it. Like, I'm sick. I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm going to play Ashes all day. And it was great. I enjoyed it, but that's not what I do all the time. And there's some people when Ashes comes up, they are on from the moment Ashes comes up to like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, go to sleep for a couple of hours to then do it all over again. It's wild. Like, and even Steven talked about the retention. He said it's super high.
built up this YouTube channel. Just to give you the example of how hardcore people were playing this game, let's talk about what my guild did to level. A lot of the people in my guild leveled in static 8-man preset groups, which is not that crazy of a concept, but the amount of time they played the game in these static groups consecutively is genuinely insane. So when the servers first came up, I was
Dedication.
there. I was
Absolutely.
day, minute one, server comes up, we're leveling. I play all day. And so does everybody else in my guild. They play all day. But I go to sleep. They keep playing. I wake up. They're still playing. I play all day again. I go to sleep. They're still playing. They played for like 30 plus hours. And this is not one group. This is probably like 3 or 4 static 8-man groups playing for easily 24 hours. Some of these guys went like 32, 36 hours straight in an 8-man group, grinding dungeons.
I told you. I told you. And what's funny, this is an anecdotal example, guys, because I know of multiple guilds that did the exact same thing. And this is why I was telling people, like, people were saying, you can't level from 1 to 25 in 25 to 40 or 25 to 30 hours. Bro, I literally know people who did it. I know people who did it. It's like, I know how efficient people have gotten with leveling. They've gotten so sophisticated with it. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Like playing hard. They're not like dilly-dallying and, smelling the roses. They're just, straight gas for 24 plus hours in a static 8-man optimized group. And not only that, they were coordinating their sleep schedules. They would.
Well, Cole, and to your point, I agree with you. But what he's talking about and what I'm talking about was at the start of phase 2. Where we are right now currently, I feel like the burnout happened because with the call of dopamine disbanding, and they disband, but now I think they're a couple of like the remnants or the leftovers basically that still wanted to play are now under another guild called Purple. So it's still the dopamine people, but it's just like not Tanner leading them, I don't think. But I mean, we'll see. I mean, maybe he'll talk about it or whatever. But I mean, I do feel like drop off has happened. 100% agree with that. Dude, I am out in the middle of nowhere and constantly have people running past me and still competition. I don't know if 50% drop off is correct. I feel like drop off either has happened or there is a lot more people now in the desert than we've ever had, because let me tell you, dude, as someone who used to do I do the exact same routes for my mines and my herbs. I am able to get way more mining material and way more bluebells and all of my other herbs than I ever have before. So it could be drop off, it could be burnout, or it could just be the desert doing the deserty things. Who knows?
All go to sleep at the same time, say, hey, get back up in 3 hours. We're doing it again. And they really did this. And again, this was probably like 20 plus people in the guild played the game like this for like the first week. It was actually crazy. The levels of sweat people were putting into this alpha video game. So these people sort of did it to themselves. I mean, guys, like, the game is nowhere close to release according to the developers' own timelines.
Nowhere near.
So I don't really feel like if you have 300 plus hours in this game in phase 2, playing 10 hours a day, and you're disappointed that there's not like a lot of compelling in-game loops, like, you're kind of the problem here. I feel like I feel like you kind of got your money's worth, and the medium player is just nowhere near you. Like, it's honestly just crazy what people in this guild have done. So I would say that is by far the number one problem, is that people are just playing the absolute shit out of this alpha video game. And I would love to know what Intrepid thinks of how much some people are playing. And this is not a dopamine exclusive issue. There are segments of certain guilds that also play the game this hard, and they're facing the same issue. It's just like, I put 500 hours into the alpha 2 and there's not any content. It's just like, guys, this is insane.
You see, casuals are so much further behind in retrospect. It is, but what's crazy is the pacing that the casuals have been in is very consistent. It's crazy. You have these a small subset percentage of players that are going super hard like he's describing, but then you have like a larger percentage that's literally leveling at a pretty good rate. Like I still see people that are finding groups at level 15, level 17 like I am, level 20, level 13, you know? People have been successfully able to do their alt to 25 by this point. So I think it's quite nuts, the pacing of the casuals, but I still am curious if Intrepid is a little nervous on, just from my personal opinion, I think they should buff leveling. In my opinion, I think they should buff leveling. And what I mean by buff, leveling should be longer across the board for everybody. I know that will also affect casuals, but the thing is that I feel like for the most part, leveling, like, and I understand this is gonna be a really grindy game, but and it's not even really saying the level 1 to 25. Like I'm okay with that also being longer, but I'm just talking like in the grand scheme of things, like I don't know where the sweet spot is to make a hardcore person say it's just not worth playing this game for 48 hours to not hit max level or to not hit, like, I want it to feel like a journey, but that I think that is more surgically for the middle demographic, right? In my hopes, and I said this before we even had a game to play, I was sort of thinking that whenever they gave that 6 to 8 hours a day for 3 months is what it'll take you to hit 1 to 50, which is a lot of hours. I always thought that a hardcore sweat, like the 20 people that he was referring to in his guild, could hit max level within 2 weeks. People are doing that in 2 days, from 1 to 25, mind you. So in retrospect, let's just say it takes them 5 days to hit max level, right? That is too short, in my opinion, and what I would feel good in as far as experience goes. If a hardcore person starts to take 2 weeks, like 14 days to fully level, then that'll be the sweet spot of about 3 months potentially, or not 3 months, but I would say about 2 months of a casual person or someone playing like, 4 to 6 hours a day, and play and when they play, they're playing to level and also occasionally do some other stuff, could potentially take them to 2 months. You know what I'm saying? Personally, should take a whole year to hit max level. I don't know about all that craziness, but I mean, all I'm saying is that leveling should be a journey again. And I think because they know if I can sprint hard enough, it'll just take me these 25 hours and I'll be done. So they do it. But if they knew it's going to take you 400 hours, right? Or what's 2 weeks? Like how many hours is in 2 weeks? Like if it took 200 hours, right? Let's just say 200, I don't know. Then they know, well, that they have to really plan out their whole time better in that sense. They're still going to try to do it. I'm not going to circumvent them or anything like that. But all I'm saying is it should at least take a minimum of 2 weeks is what I'm saying. And if it takes them 2 weeks, then it'll take the rest of us around 2 months. I'm fine with that. Okay. Personally, I'm fine with that. Let me see, man. I enjoy having alts. Still takes normal people a long time to hit level 25. At current pace, we will hit level 50 before GM stations if it stays similar to launch. But yeah, and that's also the pacing too of the nodes, and also node leveling. We truly have an experience because Steven or Intrepid has just always bumped us up to level 3. That's why I want to wipe, because we really need to see just how it feels to truly level these nodes. And we also got to experience node lockout and vassling, because right now having all 5 nodes in Riverlands be level 3 is not ever going to be the case. You're never going to be able to do that in Ashes of Creation, like with the systems working as intended. Once you hit a certain node to a certain level, that starts locking out the nodes to not hit other levels, right? So we have to experience that like in a natural state to see how we like that. Is that a good feeling? Is everybody going to be okay all in Halcyon, right? Like the Halcyon's the one that hit level 4 first and it locked out all the other ones. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be that kind of a thing. The state of Ash is not looking good right now. Haven't seen the latest interview with Jamie, but hope there's some good news there. There's some good stuff for sure. But I mean, the thing is that people are expecting this almost sort of like a live environment game with like all these crazy updates. And there's still so much left to be cooked. You know, I made an analogy in Discord the other day that think of this as a road trip. Okay. We're taking off from California. We're going to go to New York. Okay. We're going to go to New York, but we're still in California. We're trying to drive to New York. We're still in the state of California. And we as gamers or as testers are making plans for the shit we want to do when we hit Ohio. Bro, we haven't even got out of California and we're over here wanting to make Ohio plans or fucking Nebraska plans. You know what I mean? Like, can we at least start bringing it back a bit? You know, that's kind of like what I think.
So chill, like seriously guys, take a little bit of a chill pill, because I promise the medium player isn't going like, oh man, I've got 530 spell power, what do I do now, what do I do? Like it's just crazy. Problem number 2, there's not a ton of compelling in-game loops right now, especially when it comes to large-scale guild activities. Right now, the primary game loop is reach level 25, which, again, for most players, that's kind of a lot. It takes a while for your average player to get to level 25. Then get the gear, then get the gear enchanted. Most people aren't even going to get to, like, get through step 2 of that. Again, I think a lot of people in these hardcore guilds, and a lot of my audience probably skews hardcore, just due to our history, right? Guys, if you're one of these people that's got all the stuff, you are, I promise you, in the very, very small minority. And outside of those things, there really isn't a lot of compelling in-game loops. Your average player doesn't really care about nodes right now. Nodes basically function as a way for guilds to flex, and elections don't really matter either, because each player can vote up to 6 times. It's just a contest to see who has the most neats and levels up level 10 characters to vote in elections. It's really stupid. So the node game loop is definitely incomplete. The world is still relatively small. I will say, though, they're patching this pretty rapidly. Like, the world is expanding pretty rapidly. We're all still level 25. We don't have access to all the classes. The game is just incomplete. However, the primary reason that some people in Dopamine are pumping the brakes and just taking a little bit of a break from the game, and when I say pumping the brakes, they might only play 4 hours a day instead of 16.
Oh,
just
shit.
Again,
calm down, dude.
Is because there's genuinely not that much compelling large group content in the game. If you are a guild leader of a large PvP guild, it's going to be tough to keep your players engaged with the current offerings, because there just aren't a lot of compelling guild activities to do. Running caravans in a big train.
Here's my thing. It's also probably why I'm not a guild lead. You should be responsible for your own enjoyment. Like, I know as you join a guild, you want the guild to do certain activities or whatever. But we also know going into this that this is a very incomplete game. You can't blame your guild, you know, why aren't you guys putting more activities for us to do? Or why, or even blaming the game at that point, because again, we all signed up for knowing that this is 8 to 10% of the game that we have to play. But you go in because we want to test, right? And if you really want to test this game, you'll go and you'll play these loops or whatever. You'll do with things that you need to test with. And then the guild will probably do these facilitations of like these big, like organized guild things, right? Like whether it's like a node siege, whether it's a guild war, whether it's like a big caravan run, you know, those kinds of things. But I understand that those loops get old. There's only so many times you can kill 2 Mach, or so many times you can kill a firebrand, or so many times you can do a caravan, and it's just like I want to do something else. So nobody wants to go to Ohio. That's also true. But you just gotta drive right through it. You know what I mean?
And right now it's kind of a bad idea because they bug out. You become a juicy target, and people will fuck with you just because it's large scale PvP content and there's not much of it. So even if they lose, they'll still do it just because whatever, right? It's a fun thing to do. Let's go fuck with them. And wars are just beyond stupid. Wars are not fun at all. Wars are basically a contest of peekaboo and log out and hide and then try and surprise somebody with like more numbers than they have. It's really stupid. If wars were fought over an objective where, like, let's say you declared war on somebody and then the zone became like, I don't know, like a Rathi Basin where there were points of interest in King of the Hill or something. If there was an objective that you had to fight over that forced conflict, wars would be a lot more interesting. But right now, with wars being TDM, genuinely, you could declare war on somebody, get a kill, and log out, and you would win the war. Like, it's really stupid the way it is right now.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think people are starting to figure out that wars don't really matter. Like, the score of a war doesn't really matter because people are pretty much just using wars right now for frivolous reasons. Like, oh, these guys are in our farming spot, or we're farming like Forsaken Blades fragments or whatever sort of rare spawn, and they're there. Well, we don't want to go corrupt, so we're just going to declare war on them and bullying them out of our spot. So that's really the only use for war right now, is for stuff like that.
It's very retaliation, which I think is shit, in my opinion. I this is what I've been saying about guild war declarations, is they should be way more expensive than what they currently are. And my thing is that's why I want there to be different levels of guild wars. Like, you can do a guild war that's an 8v8 guild war, like 8 players of your guild versus 8 players of theirs. They choose their champions, you choose yours. You go to a desired location on the map and you duke it out. Like, that's what I would say you do. And then you can have different, like, 8v8, 16 versus 16, 20 versus 20, or let's say 25 versus 25 versus 25, 40 versus 40, 80 versus 80, and then like the most expensive one being full guild versus full guild. And those should be like really fucking expensive. Like really expensive. But I think right now the reason why that is the best approach is because of the not having to deal with corruption, because right now force flagging or just flagging up in general and then having to kill a green player and dealing with the corruption there, it's just annoying to deal with, so people do the war decking. I understand, it makes sense.
Or unfortunately, in some instances, they will see a crafter that they think has some shit and they'll just declare war on him and kill him in town. So alpha video game, guys. Unfortunately, this problem will get worse before it gets better. There just isn't going to be any compelling large group content added to the game in the immediate future. That doesn't mean the game's not fun. I personally have a lot of fun being a desert bandit and doing smaller scale stuff. But if you're somebody that really loves that, guild v guild, larger scale stuff, there's just not really that many compelling options. Wars are stupid. Big caravan runs are stupid. Nodes are kind of stupid right now. I don't know. But that doesn't mean the game's not fun. That doesn't mean the game is necessarily bad. It's just an alpha video game that is not feature complete. Again, the game is not coming out anytime soon.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of growing pains because this game is growing. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of shifting of the sands, a lot of shifting of the foundations. There's going to be some systems that are going to come out that we're not going to like, that it's like, and there's going to be systems that come out that have been changed, and these new changes suck. Right. And either the devs aren't going to fix it because they like the changes as developers, but we don't as players. And there's going to be this friction there, or there have to be some kind of a middleman agreement of like, well, maybe if you just changed it this way, we'll be fine with it, even though we would have rather reverted it to the previous change. Think of something like grit for the tanks, right? There's been a lot of tanks that don't like the grit change. They want it to be reverted back. But what if Intrepid's like, no, like we want grit to be more of an active ability. So where's the middleman in that? Right. So that's what I think every system's going to have to go through. And I think there's just certain players or testers that just are very unfamiliar with the testing process. I'll put it, that's like the nicest way I can put it.
According to the developer's own timelines, this is not me saying that and projecting that. This is them saying that. So, yeah, I'm still having fun. I have fun with my desert bandit business, but it is what it is. Now on to the final problem, and this is the only thing that was in Dopamine's control, but I'm not sure if it would have changed the outcome long-term. I think, again, long-term, every guild is going to deal with this problem in the immediate, short-term future, but the alliances were definitely a real fun killer. And I'm going to defend why Dopamine had alliances with Nova Ortem and Barcode and the other guilds for some reason. I'm going to defend this because if you want to do ZVZ content against Envious and Polar, who are allied, you have to have the numbers. You cannot compete without the numbers. If they're allied and you want to compete with them, well, guess what? You better have some allies. So it was kind of a necessary evil, because in these big fights, and this is in this MMO, this is in almost every single MMO, the number one thing that matters is how many people you have versus how many people they have. Then the number two thing that's most important is group composition. And then very, very, very down low, like much lower at number 3 would...
Well, I would also say, how many clerics do you have outside of your group compared to theirs, right? Because clearly that's how they all play. Like how many clerics do we have to have not in our group in order for us to win? Like that's
be real. The decision making and the shot calling ability of your leaders. That matters. But when it comes to like individual mechanical skill in these big fights, let's be honest, most of the time it doesn't really matter. The main things that matter are your numbers, your group comp, and your shot caller making the right decision. That's it. Very rarely are you seeing like crazy mechanical ability come out. Very rarely are people overcoming these things unless one side is just so unbelievably bad or unbelievably undergeared in comparison. It just doesn't really happen. Usually you can tell by looking at the fight before it happens who's going to win. Just before it even happens, you kind of know who's going to win. However, with all of that being said, the alliances and the politicking really dampened the fun for a lot of people, myself included. Now, obviously, I have a personal bias because I used to famously extort caravans in the desert, and then my guild Dopamine did a political move where we let people run caravans out of the desert for free. And yes, it did build up our node. I get it, but also like that's not super fun for me. It's not super fun for a lot of
who cares, Zyback?
Like me,
dude. I wanted to run a caravan. And I couldn't do it. I missed my whole window on trying to go to the desert or whatever. Because I heard Zyback's in the desert. And I was like, shit, he's probably going to kill my caravan. So I never run my damn caravan. So it's okay, Zyback. You can be a bandit somewhere else next time.
Which this guild largely consisted of. So we have to keep in mind Dopamine's origin story. Dopamine was born out of the death of Ethereum. And Ethereum was a guild full of pit bulls, wild dogs that are just used to fighting and scrapping. And they come from EPH, where that's just sort of what it was. And then we're in Dopamine. And the best way I can describe it is Tanner and Dopamine were like these pit bulls getting adopted by a white woman. And Tanner would dress them up in sweaters, and we'd go to Starbucks drive-thrus, and we'd go to the dog park.
Look at the dog achievement.
At the end of the day, they're still pit bulls. And it was a very stark contrast in how these pit bulls were taken care of. Tanner was your basic white woman who dressed us up in sweaters, and we went and got pup cups. And Alec was like Michael Vick. Very, very different vibes. I classify myself as one of these pit bull players, and it's so difficult when somebody in your alliance steals a node from you or tags a mob before you, and you're not allowed to PvP them. Because it's, you're allied with them. And under any other circumstance, you would rip their head off. You are better at the game than them. You would destroy them in any other context. True. But you can't because you're allied with them. And that is infuriating.
But I mean, it is infuriating, but this is what the game, if you choose to play this game as a pit bull, you're inevitably going to have a way worser time, because just as you said earlier about what really matters when it comes to the wars is numbers. If all you're going to do is be a pit bull, no one's going to want to ally with you. And if no one allies with you, you will always be outnumbered all the time. So even though in the short term, it kind of sucks that you can't bite down, in the times you can, because you hadn't been able to do before, you'll be able to do it even harder. So sometimes it's just better to wait. And even lions do that. they don't always go after the gazelles. Dude, I saw a National Geographic of a gazelle playing in front of a lion, and the lion wasn't doing a damn thing. Why wouldn't, like, you would think there's a gazelle a foot in front of you. Why are you ripping it apart? To a lion, it's like, because I can chase it down and kill it whenever I want. It's not a big deal to me that's right in front of me. I just ate that gazelle's cousin. He's full. And I think Zyback is just an infinitely hungry lion. But, you know, I just, you know, again, that's why this game attracts a certain level of sweaty PvP players that I think those players are still going to be given a reality check of you still have to play nice. And I think to some PvP players, they don't understand why. I mean, Ashes is a game. It's, you know, that's why they call it the Game of Thrones, right? There's a game to be played. There is a mouth breathers. There is a way to inevitably get what you want, but it ain't gonna be the easy way that you think it is.
Because to these Pitbull style players, that is like a little, you know, Dachshund walking up into your backyard and pissing on the tree in your backyard. So, you know, somebody steals a tin node from me and I'm just like, you just want to fucking go, but you can't because you're allied with them. And this is especially exasperated by, and I'm not going to pick on Nova Ortem specifically, but they have a large guild and it's very difficult to contain that and keep everybody well behaved. You know, if you have 500 people, you're going to have a few knuckleheads that,
oh, absolutely,
you know, train mobs or attack you or just like a really, you know, BM. So Nova Ortem in particular was a real pain point for our guild because, again, under any sort of circumstance, it would just be like, dude, if you fucking do that again, like, we're just going to flag up. And towards the end of before the guild broke up, people were just flagging up. So, yeah, like, it was just, it sucked. It fucking sucked being allied with the people the way we were. The only suggestion I had at the time was to have the alliances be temporary. Only during wars, we are allied. The other 22 hours of the day, it's free reign, whatever. It's PvP. But, dude, I'll be honest, I had a lot of instances with Nova Ortem too, where it's just like, this fucking guy. And Nova Ortem did have like this weird superpower where, like, if they did something kind of shitty to you and you would send them a whisper, they didn't understand English. But if you retaliated, dude, it was Rosetta Stone. Perfect English, man. If you kill one of them, bro, they're typing a perfect sentence, semicolons, perfect English. So crazy superpower they got. And again, I don't want to single out Nova Ortem specifically because every guild has knuckleheads that are going to break the alliance and break the treaties and do shitty things. They're just the biggest guild, so statistically they're going to have the most knuckleheads, and they're the ones that people just dealt with the most. And we have our own knuckleheads. In fact, I'm probably one of those knuckleheads too. But it's just these little agreements in game are always messy like this, and it's just a pain point for a lot of players when you can't retaliate. So that would be the only suggestion I would have had at the time, would be to just let's do the alliances, but only during wars.
Oh, yeah, I have it.
That's it. Only during wars. The alliance situation was such a pain point that a core group from Dopamine left the guild to start their own guild. And in my opinion, they did it almost exclusively so they didn't have to be in these dumb alliances. And I totally understand, because from their point of view, you know, they've played the game a lot, they got the gear, and they just want to PvP. I totally get it. So they started their own guild, and quite frankly, they are just decking up on everybody. They are just, they have got that pent up Pitbull energy, and they need to attack toddlers, which is just any other guild. I'm not in that guild, but I do really resonate with the message right now, because these last 24 hours I have been ungilded, and I'll be honest, I'm sad that my social group got destroyed, but in terms of PvP, I've been having a blast being in no guild. I've just been attacking anybody I want to. I've been robbing caravans again. Kind of having fun. You know, I am still looking for a guild. A lot of people probably are wondering why I didn't join the Purple Guild. I have had a few of those guys reach out to me and want me to apply. Honestly, I just don't think I'm hardcore enough for those guys. When I say those guys play the game hard, they really play the game hard.
It kind of scares me that Zybeck thinks he's not hardcore enough for purple. That is a wild statement to say. Wow. I in my opinion, I think Zybeck's a pretty hardcore player in my eyes. You know what I mean? Not saying that he plays the game like for 12 hours, but I mean, when he plays the game, he plays hard. And he feels like, I don't know if I could even keep up with these boys. Like that's pretty wild, man.
And this is the most hardcore I'm ever going to be. And I don't think I'm hardcore enough right now. And I'm not working like 50, 60 hours a week. And that is like something that might happen here soon. So, yeah, I just don't think I'm hardcore enough. And those guys play hard. So more power to them. I think they have an interesting concept. I am super curious to see how well Purple does long term, because I'd say that the biggest struggles this guild will face will be long term, like redundancy and dealing with player churn, because people are gonna have to take breaks from the game or whatever, right? And if you only have 50 people, losing somebody percentage wise is more impactful, right? But I do love the concept, and it is something I would have been all over back in the WildStar days, but right now, I don't have that dog in me anymore, quite literally. So either way, it's compelling. It's good for the game for this to happen and for this to exist, because I don't want every guild being the Nova Ortem dopamine envious polar archetype where you just have these big guilds and everybody's just So I do think it's kind of interesting to see like a small elite group of like poop sockers just to see what they can do. Is it like achievable? They're definitely gonna, in the short term, they're going to fuck some shit up. There is no other way about it. They've got that pent up pit bull energy, and they're going to attack toddlers. They're just going to. So for the next few weeks, Purple is going to be running fucking havoc on Vyra. And I will say, pound for pound, they're probably the strongest guild in the game. But that's the operative word, pound for pound.
Yeah, and that usually never happens. I mean, and just like, what's that? This okay. I have to change. This is a huge pause moment.
Does that matter?
There we go. It does matter because at the end of the day, alliances win guild wars. Like, could you do some small skirmishes and be very successful at them? Absolutely. But I think that's any guild. Even Syndicate, Nice's guild is a pretty small guild, and they get a lot of skirmishes off too. But at the end of the day, this game, you win off of alliances. Like, you need allies, and if you're going to be a guild that is solely resting upon your own laurels and your own, like your own people, I don't know how long you'll be able to last in that case. But time will tell. Time will tell.
Honestly, in my opinion, no. This is a game where you can get zerged. You might have the sickest 50 players in the game, but in these large scale battles where skill expression is shaky at best, and they just have like 130 guys that are just, playing fucking mages and two-tapping people, who fucking cares? Like, does it matter? Like, probably not, right? So what now? Well, I think the play for me right now is to remain guildless and just sort of wait for my dopamine social circle to kind of come back down to reality a little bit. People kind of saw the guild notification, were just like, what? And they're like, okay, whatever. I'm gonna take a little bit of a break. I'm gonna go watch Super Bowl, whatever. So we're just gonna let the.
So wait a minute. So I was really hoping he was gonna kind of give a little bit more. So this wasn't like a guild meeting. Like, they didn't take their entire guild and announce this. It was just like a Discord message that people saw and were like, oh, I guess I'm not in a guild anymore. Like, is that literally how it happened? That's kind of nuts. I feel like if it was a guild like Axiom or something like that, like, we would have like a whole meeting about it and get people like, I really doubt Angel would ever just give a message adding everybody and being like, yeah, Axiom's sort of done. Thank you. And goodbye. Like, I don't know. It's a weird That's a weird thing to do.
Dust settle and kind of see how people think as they come back. I'm personally still going to be playing the game. I'm having a lot of fun with the game. In fact, I'm probably having more fun with the game now than I have in the last few weeks, just because I've got so many targets to kill and I can be the desert bandit that I once was without any of the politics. But I do appreciate all the guild offers and all the people reaching out. I am still like kind of weighing my options, and I just mainly have to see what other people that I socially play with, what they want to do. So yeah, it is what it is. Just sort of taking it slow for now. But to the people that have put in like 300 or 400 hours into this alpha in phase 2, like you gotta just chill, man. Like unironically, like go touch some grass, man. Go feel the breeze. Like, man, you kind of did it to yourself. In conclusion, I don't think any of the leadership in Dopamine made any grave mistakes. I mean, yeah, I would have loved if the alliances were done temporarily, but again, I'm not sure if any of that would have really mattered. I think this is just a case of people playing the game too much and the game not being finished and people being upset that the game's not finished. I think that's kind of the core of the issue, and I think that every competitive large-scale guild is going to face this exact same issue where people are like...
I think temporary alliances in my head kind of don't work, because this game is very emotional to people, and if you have a temporary alliance for a guild war, you're not really going to ally as hard if you knew that the guild you're allied with at the time killed your groups endlessly for the past couple of hours, or for the past days or whatever, right? Until you need them for a war that's going to happen, right? Like, I think for Zyback, like, I don't know how he's going to be able to handle the alliance system, and maybe it's something that's just always going to kind of bother him at the end of the day. But I do think it's needed, because even being a bandit in this game, you're by yourself. If people recognize you as a bandit, even though you're not even doing anything bandit wise, people are just going to try to rumple stomp you, right? Like, people are just going to go and be like, oh, Zyback's over there, and they're going to call like a couple of members from their guild. Like, people never want to have a fair fight. You know what I'm saying? People are never going to want to have a fair fight. They're going to call like a couple of their guild members and be like, hey, let's go kill Zyback because he's notorious for killing people. Let's just go like and grief him, basically. Like, and that's what they'll do. It should be a guild system or a contract that can be written for 30 days. Well, I really don't think a guild system would even work in that case, because again, players are always going to try to circumvent any system. What's even crazier is that I saw yesterday someone linked a website to me that literally is going to circumvent the regional auction house system in the game. Because there is a website where you can go and list your auctions, just like Path of Exile does, right? You can go to, just Path of Exile Market or whatever, something like that. And literally not even having to go to a market stall in the game, and just literally sell your auctions from this website. That circumvents the entire regionality aspect of Ashes. But this was bound to happen. I've said this for years. 4 years that this shit was going to happen. As much as Steven wants to try to do the things in game, players will always circumvent it to be for the betterment of the convenience factor, basically. Like, that's what it'll always be at the end of the day. Now, me personally, I kind of don't care. Like, am I upset that website exists? Not really. I'm not. Because again, at the end of the day, if you want to sell your goods, from a node or in another node, and you still have to travel there, and it's just like an easier way to get your goods sold across, like, I'm fine with it personally. Like, I kind of don't give a shit, because all I want is the sellment of goods. Like, I want goods to move in Ashes. Whether they move from the in-game shit or whether they move from the website, I kind of don't care. But I'm curious what Intrepid is going to think. And if Intrepid realizes that they're not even using the market stalls and everybody's just like, the website becomes the de facto thing to do, I'm curious what the next move from Intrepid is in that regard. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I had to look. There's nothing on it. People have to actually add it, so it's so much effort until it's not. And I think that's what the website's going to have to do as well. Once the website gets to a point where it's so easy to do, again, if you go look at Path of Exile and what it takes to sell something on there, it's not that hard to put up a sell on that website. It'll get to that point in Ashes, right? There will be a website one day that'll be a couple of steps. Like once you sign in or once you do your login or whatever, it's quick, fast, and in a hurry. It's not, it's not anything big.
Where's it at? This kind of sucks. And it's just, the game's not complete yet, guys. Like, chill. You gotta chill a little bit, guys. It's the alpha. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. I have heard some interesting rumors for phase 3 of Ashes of Creation, and I'll just leave it at that. Could get very interesting in phase 3. Hope you enjoyed the video. Have a good one.
You could not live with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me.
We battled through the nights too long. Dopamine, why do we get it wrong? In the alpha we burn too bright. Now we're shadows in the light. I killed one strong.
Oh my God. I saw this dude, Asian Steve. I was doing my mining run or my route, and I was like, did that character name say Asian Steve? I was like, what the hell?
I feel so thin. Lost ourselves, lost our care. Every fight a taste of pain. Dreams started to wane. Only Allah can save us now. Raise us up and show us how. From the ashes we'll arise. Dopamine won't say goodbye.
Look at grappling. Look at grappling.
Anyway, you guys got a res?
No, dude, we're fighting. Look at T Mugsy. Look at T Mugsy. They're getting reses off now. Look at T Mugsy. Bow him down. Bow him down. Shoot his ass. Shoot his ass. Let's go. Let's go. Kazan on the left. Kazan. Overextended. Kill him. Kill him. Look at him. Look at him. He's dead. I'm charging in.
Damn.
Grappling's going down here. Grappling's going down here. Kill him. Kill him.
Look at Sink. Sleeping Sink.
Okay, we gotta kill Sink. We gotta kill Sink.
On the left, fighter on the left, fighter on the left. Just
I'm coming over. I'm coming over.
Get this kid out.
And I will give Ashes this, like when I keep seeing like this kind of PvP skirmishes, like the combat is so satisfying to watch. Like it's really cool to see like actual like battles group like battle it out. Like there's a reason why people are playing this game, and it's because the combat is just it's only going to get better, but where it's at now is just it's super fun, and it's only going to get better once we have more abilities and augments and stuff like that. Asian Steve is no joke. If he comes up to you, just pay him off. Dude, Phantom, dude, what's going on, dude? Oh my God, I hope you're doing all right, brother. I've been sort of like casually watching your streams on YouTube, you playing Pantheon and stuff like that. I've been lurking it up. Combat is the main thing keeping people here. Oh, dude, yeah, 100%.
Grappling. Look at grappling. Do they have any more clerics? Look at Mal in the back. They have a cleric.
Try to rash.
Damn, I'm going in. I'm out. Mal.
Get on Mal. I'm charging Mal here.
Mal's rooted.
Go.
He's dead. Mal's dead.
Damn.
Get his ass.
Jesus.
I hope you kids are recording.
Jesus.
I got.
Damn. I mean, it's just one of those things where I think people really love the combat of this game, and that's why people are just chomping at the bit for augments for Rogue. Oh my God, dude, the amount of people excited for Rogue is just crazy. Like, it's really unfortunate to see the fact that Dopamine disbanded now, because it's like I can only imagine when the Rogue comes out how certain group compositions are going to completely change because of the rogue. Right now, the reason why fighter is just so like a light ranger basically is because it's just once you get in melee, like it's hard. It's really hard. Like in Zyback, I've seen him pull off some amazing shit towards bards, clerics, mages. I mean, he's probably one of the best fighters that I've seen, like outside of some of the other people that I've seen from like the competitions. But he's really good. Like he's a very, very good fighter. Let me see. Did you watch the Jamie Chaos stream live? The augment explanation is actually really good. I didn't see it live, but I did see the VOD, and to me, I am still, even hearing Steven's explanation, I still want to see it. Words only get you so far. I feel like words can also change because development can change. And I just don't know until I play it, until I see, like when I get my fighter and I do the cleric augment and I become, what is it, like a high sword? Man, I forget. It's like 64 freaking names to remember. It's ridiculous. But like, I probably want to, as a fighter, I would want to go cleric to see what kind of changes can be made to certain abilities. But yeah, I don't know. 8-man rogue leveling groups incoming. Oh, dude. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know if it's going to be 8 rogues. I think maybe 6 or 5. I think 5 rogues plus, like a tank, and because you can't not have a tank, like you need a tank, you need a cleric, and you need a bard. So I would say about 5 rogues, like 5 rogues, and then 1 tank, 1 cleric, and 1 bard. The way I look at it, cleric and tank subclasses coming each is different, and that's coming soon. Well, soon is subjective because I really don't think that the cleric and augment stuff is going to happen on May 1st. I think that's going to be potentially one of the first major patches of phase 3, but that's not going to come at the start of phase 1 or at the start of day 1 of phase 3 is what I'm saying. Yeah, augments are so far away. Yeah, they are. In my head, they are far away. That they're not anything close. You ready for the gang squads? Well, I think that's going to be more of the interesting thing of once you start seeing rogues, like level 25 rogues, and then you just have all the group go stealth and just, in the desert, and then you just keel over in one shot because they all backstab you at the same time. Like, that's what I'm waiting for. That's the stuff that I am, again, I am curious to see how this game is going to treat the rogue archetype, because I feel like people are really going to hate the rogue. Like, rogues are going to be, and again, it might be a class that I really like, and I might, say screw fighter, I'm just going to play a rogue, Like, I was thinking of becoming a predator and naming my rogue Chris Hansen. I think that'd be a fucking amazing name for a predator. Just naming my name Chris Hansen. And be like, whenever the augments come out and I become that'd be so much fun. Let me see, rogue rangers, here we come. Yeah, I'm just excited for summoner. Like I really want to see what summoner is going to be like at the end of the day, as someone who played a warlock for a long time. So we'll see what happens. But let me see something real quick. Sorry, I had to go spit out a loogie. Ugh. Hi, Vladis. How are you feeling about phase 2 right now? Sorry if you shared your thoughts earlier. Just got in the house. Oh, no problem, dude. So my thoughts on phase 2 so far. Phase 2 has been pretty freaking fun, to be honest with you. As someone who's been doing a... let me lower the music real quick. As someone who's been doing a lot of treasure maps, as someone who's been playing the game pretty much almost every day. Sometimes I'll play it for 2 hours. Sometimes I'll play for 4. It just depends on how much time I have, you know. I usually play at night because, you know, the whole day I'm taking care of my daughter. And then I'll spend some time with the wife. We'll eat some food for dinner, get the baby to bed, and then I'm on night duty with the baby monitor. And that's when I play Ashes. So it just depends, but I've been having a great time. I mean, I'm level 17. I'm about actually to be level 18. So I feel like it's been pretty good. I think the reason why I see people burning out is because I've seen Reddit posts. I've been going into guilds and I've seen guild discords having less and less people in them, and just talking to leadership of, you know, guilds and just kind of, you know, gauging the temperature of their people and how their people are doing. And there's just a lot of people I've heard of, every officer almost in every guild, that says people are just taking a break until Rogue. I've heard that statement so much. So much have I heard that damn statement. It's like, oh, it's just people are taking a break until Rogue comes out. And I feel like Rogue is going to be like a huge boon of bringing back people that I think are just sort of, you know, got that flu that was going around. I think so, dude. I really think I did. Can't blame this illness on closeness of Richie like last time. Oh my god. I don't know, man. This thing kind of hit me out of nowhere, to be honest. I'd like to see more base classes synergy. I feel like in mages don't yet synergize well with anyone yet, though the rogue leak looks like it might. Yeah, I think base classes, in my opinion, still need a shit ton of work. A shit ton of work. In my head. Every class does not... Let me rephrase. Every class has one build. Whether you're playing a cleric, whether you're playing a tank, whether you're playing a fighter, whether you're playing a mage, whether you're playing any of your classes, you are playing one build. There is zero build diversity. And again, it's because potentially that there are, there's like a certain style of play that you kind of need. But none of the abilities facilitate a different rotation, different interactions. So it just feels like this class just plays one way. Like I have to play it this one way and that's it. Like I have no other choice but to play it in this one way. And I think that is shit. And to think that an augment system is the way to fix that is also shit to me. You need to add diversity at the base level. Like you just do, especially in a game like this. And I would say that's even more so the case with the tank and cleric archetype. I've been so scared. You have no idea. I've been saying this for years. I have been so scared about tank and cleric participation. I have seen many cleric mains, or not even cleric mains, but just healer mains from other MMOs play Ashes of Creation, and they're not playing a cleric. You want to know why? Because what they love about healing isn't really available from the cleric right now. There is a very traditional healing style of gameplay that comes from the cleric, and if that's not your jam, tough luck, because that's how you freaking play it. Like that's what you're gonna have to do, and I think that's kind of shit. But am I just dooming and glooming upon the class system? No, I just think that it needs so much more finesse. There's so much more refinement, and we also need to see the full scale of abilities as well. No class right now has the full 30 to 40 abilities, nor do we have all the passives that associate with those 30 to 40 abilities. a question I would have loved Jamie to ask is like, what is your final vision? Like, if I was interviewing Steven, I would ask him, how do you envision the talent tree for classes? Do you think this is going to be more in line of like lineage? Because if you go look at the lineage 2 talent tree, it looks pretty basic. The lineage 2 tree looks basic, and even if you go look at the Arcage talent tree for classes, that looks basic in my mind, just very, very basic. And I just don't know if that's going to satisfy people in Ashes of Creation, because when I shown people especially the Arcage talent tree, and I say, would you be satisfied with this in Ashes of Creation as its final form? And they're like, oh God, no. Like, no one that I have talked to would even like that system. And some people are shocked that is the final system of Arcage, and I'm like, yeah, that's it. This is the talent tree. Like, let me see if I can find it real quick. I think it's this. Or right here. So this is basically it right here. Warlord James, dude, thank you so much for the follow, man. Thank you. Also, welcome to the stream, dude. Hope you're having a good day. Let me see. Mana Bard, Mana Battery, PvP Bard, CC. Okay, so you're saying that the Bard has potentially two styles of gameplay, basically, that are completely different. One in PvE and one in PvP. Yeah, Mage and groups rotation and Arcane Circle use Fire, Ice, and Lightning, then Arcane Beam, and that's the rotation. Yeah. Vlad, with the exception of a choice of 1 to 2 skills, I fully agree the builds are very linear and with minimum to no diversity. Oh yeah, I mean, so like this is basically the system. Like this is the talent tree, so to speak, and then you have like this that kind of augments it further. But this to me, like, is not really like what I would like, right? And again, like there's a lot of different choices that you can make when it comes to like picking your classes, right? Because here you have like a choice combination of three classes, like 3 subclasses to make your true class, basically. And then you have sort of like your active abilities that can then be augmented. I think that's how it works. Yeah. And you could augment them in these 2 different ways or whatever. So I don't know if this is something that I would like for Ashes. And Ashtag, dude, thank you so much for the sub, dude. I really appreciate the support, man. Thank you. I get my cleric vibes from Bard at the moment. Normally I'm a healer myself, and that's the class that I've seen healer mains play the most. I've talked to so many people that play Bard that are actually healer mains in other MMOs, because the healer just, the cleric is just too, it's basically a holy priest, and many healers think that that's just a boring, it's very traditional healing, right? Again, if you go to other MMOs that have been out for 20 plus years, the MMOs we're competing against, they have some very unique healing classes. So if you don't offer really cool, unique, like completely different styles of healing at the base level, like it's going to be very hard to get people to participate in that class, which means we are going to have a bigger issue of looking for cleric or looking for tanks in Ashes of Creation comparatively to other MMOs. Like if you're a WoW player and you thought, damn, it's really hard to find a tank sometimes, or it's really hard to find a cleric, it's going to be even harder in this game, which is why it's imperative for you to join a guild. and be with a cleric in a tank at all times, because those people are going to be very, very sought after, because not many people play them. Like Steven said that the mage, or during the last live stream, they said the mage was the most popular class as of right now. I would have loved to have heard the data of what the least popular class was, because I could probably tell you it was the tank. Tank was probably the least played class out of all of them. And again, it's because people don't like the responsibility. It's one of the classes that I think, dies the most, right? So who wants to lose their glint? Who wants to get more XP debt? It's a very thankless class too. Let me see. From what I've been told, from the higher levels, PvP at the moment doesn't have much time for a bard to heal much or give much mana. Yeah, I haven't really done a lot of PvP, so I really don't know like how bards are doing in that capacity. But when I talk to people about build diversity, there just really isn't any. I did see in the Ashes Discord and forums that it was a problem a lot of people brought up too in their discussion. Oh yeah, it's been an issue for a long time. Love the heal bot option, but would also love a spec similar to Mistweaver Fistweaving, dude. And again, I think you should be able to have that at a base level. Now, should you have it further advanced when hitting level 25 and then going into a specific augment like fighter? Absolutely. But that choice or those changes shouldn't occur at level 25. Because I would probably tell you that you at level 25, once you pick your second class, you may be able to augment one ability. That stuff should already be happening at a base level. And that's my point. If you want to be a dodge tank, if you want to be a health siphoning tank, if you want to be like a sword and board tank, in my opinion, whenever you log into the game or whenever you create a character, every class probably, but the cleric and the healer, should have a choice of like 5 abilities. In my perfect Ashes of Creation world. And you can only select one of the abilities, but each ability is a very like identifying ability. And that ability synergizes like all the other abilities that you pick, like, from level 2, level 3, all complement this one ability. Okay. And again, each one of the 5 main abilities you start with at level 1 that you choose plays that class very differently, right? And that's what I would hope Ashes does. So that way, and again, you can't choose all 5. You can only choose one of the 5, right? Because it's a very kind of build defining ability, but it completely changes the cadence of how you play that particular class. That's how I would do it personally, because it would be very easy just to go in there instead of getting just a generic ability to start off with. You log in on your portal and you already have a choice to make. Shit, what do I want to do? Do I want to pick this ability, this ability, this ability, or this ability? Now, of course, in the Alpha 2, if they ever were to do that, which would be, I'd freaking die of excitement. But if they did do that, you can just make it to where you can swap at any time, play with all the abilities, see which one you like the best. But, it should be like a choice that you make. That, again, if like, this particular ability hits a mob, and each time it does that, it drains life from the mob and empowers you. Right? And then let's say you have another ability that's like a shield bash. Like, so if you love doing the sword and board, then that's the ability you want to choose with, to like bash enemies with the shield and, concussing them or, doing whatever. Right? Let's say you have an ability that, is like a sort of passive ability that makes your dodge rate 20% higher, right? So that way you can be a dodge evasion tank, like it's those kinds of things that it's the kind of choices that I think players want to have at a very early level, Anyways, I would like for skills to force you into a kind of niche with multiple to choose from. Using mage as an example, what if there was a duo for several schools of magic to spec into, is a lightning or water mage? No, exactly. And that's why I think having a choice of like 5 abilities, hell, I would be happy with 3 abilities, but they just need to be very, very like build defining is the term I would use, because once you choose this ability, this is your bread and butter ability. This is the ability that you're going to be working with all of the other abilities to complement this ability, right? This is what defines you as this class kind of thing. Now, there could be other abilities, of course, that you get later on that, you know, that very much complement this main ability, but this is the ability. This is the thing that you will be hitting the most. It's what encompasses your entire rotation off of. And then, of course, you can basically reward, you know, as you're going through the talent tree, other abilities that then complement those abilities or that play style in a way. But I understand that doing that would require a lot of work in talent trees. Like that is a very 5-head way to make a talent tree. But that's what I would want. And, you know, I'd want personally, like how I would do it is I would basically make it to where you would be able to earn all of your abilities by level 25. Like if I had my way of making the whole thing, I would basically make it to where you'll have your choice of being able to get many, like you'll have, by level 25, you'll have access. That's the best word I would use. You have access to all of your abilities. And then once you choose your secondary class from level 26 onward to 50, then all you'll be doing is augmenting. Each ability that you've already selected, now you'll just be augmenting from 26 to 50. That's what I would do personally. I know some people might not like that, but if that would be me creating, you know, this kind of talent tree and stuff like that. I like the idea, in theory, having to make that choice in the character creator. Even better. I would like that too. And in the character creator, you can also see like a little preview what the ability looks like and a detailing of like what it does. You know, that'd be perfect. They would have had to want that from the start. I think it's too late now. No, not at all. I don't think it's too late at all. I mean, honestly, the talent tree we have is super rudimentary. It's basic. They can easily do what I'm suggesting and build off of that. They wouldn't even have to get rid of the talent tree. Like it's literally just giving a player the ability to choose between self-defining abilities, even at the character creator. And then now you just have to adjust the talent tree to then complement each of those abilities. Now, the 2 classes that I think the 5 choices should be the tank and cleric, because I think they need the most diversity of any of the classes, in my opinion. And then the rest of the DPS classes can have 3 choices. That's what I would do. Because as a tank, you need 5 different ways to change tank playstyle. As a cleric, you need at least 5 different ways to heal on the cleric. You know, Bard as well. I'd be happy with that too. I mean, I would give Bard, because it is a support, I would give it the ability for 5 as well. But I don't know if you would be able to come up with 5 very distinct Bard playstyles. But if they could, hey, I'll welcome it. But for all the other DPS classes, you only have 3 choices. And again, the augment system will then change it even further, right? You'll really develop your class identity once that happens. But this gives people at a base level a way to customize their classes in a way that they deem like, I want to start off like immediately as a health siphoning tank or as a dodge tank and level that way. I think it'd be very kind of dumb to level to 25 in the way that you hated, because and again, you have to understand how long it takes to get to 25. You have people that are probably even going to quit before they hit level 25, you know, because they're like, I just don't like this way of tanking. And they're like, but if you hit level 25, you can be the tank you want to be. I don't care. I'm level 17. It takes me forever to level. Like I don't want to tank. And I think that's, to me, that is the problem. I don't want people to quit their class because they have to basically wait until 25 to then have the identity or have the rotation or have the play style they want. To me, it's like you should have the play style already. It should be built into your base kit. Like, why not? You know? So similar to the anime Shangri-La Frontier, where skills evolve based off of the game's playstyle. I haven't watched Shangri-La Frontier, so I can't speak from that anime's point of view. But basically, what I'm just saying is that at the character creator, you should have a choice of abilities that you can choose that are very self-defining. Like as an example, for the mage, you can choose Fireball, Frostbolt, or Lightning Blast, right? And depending on what you choose, it'll base like your mage gameplay based on you being more of a lightning mage, or you being more of a frost mage, or you being more of a fire mage. Now, not saying that you can't have, like, as a lightning mage, fire or frost abilities, but now those abilities in the talent tree will affect your lightning abilities specifically, because that's what you are, a lightning mage, in a very specific way that caters to lightning, because that's what you want to do. That's the style you like to play. And vice versa, if you choose frost, then you can still have lightning abilities that affect your frost spells. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you need to feel like you're already developing the kind of fantasy you want right off the rip, because I think that's important. Identity to your style is important. So, I don't know. It's just one of those things that I feel people... I feel like people... Here, give me 1 second. My baby's crying. Let me give the monitor to my wife. 1 second. Okay. Sorry about that. I just had to give the monitor to my wife. Let me see what... I'm sorry. I need to go back. I know people were typing in. Not 3, and there's probably more that's just in the front. Would love that, since the charged lightning bolt is so slow, it's not even worth using. I understand that you have to give out skills as you level, but should you feel like you understand your class somewhat by level 10 at least? Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I'll use fighter as an example, speccing into damage / weapon type. So swords, axes, maces, spears could all have different trees that complements them as a fighter can go for. Yeah, I get you now. Although I am for mixing and matching, I don't want them to make the augment schools too homogenous, so I don't know where that balance is. Well, the balance is literally in how in what fantasy play that you want, right? Because each class is going to have 4 schools of augmentation, right? We all know the mage one, right, which is fire, frost, lightning, and teleportation. So you'll basically have on your lightning spell, right? If you're a mage, you can make a lightning spell, either have it be a little bit more lightning based. You can have an actual teleportation sort of skill built into a lightning ability, which I don't know how they're going to do that. Or give it some kind of a frost component, or even some kind of a fire component. So it really just depends. Dude, is that Roar? Is Roar watching? Oh my god. It's such an honor, dude. What's going on, brother? Good to see you. Let me see. Take every skill mage has right now and just convert it to ice instead of maybe just mixing them. Well, and again, I like, you know, coming from World of Warcraft where, you know, as a fire mage, all you have is fire abilities. I kind of like the fact that Ashes gives you a mix mash of like different kinds of spells in different elemental schools. But my thing is, why can't you choose a particular element that you want to specialize in, and those other elements complement the element that you choose to specialize in? You know what I'm saying? Like, why can't it work that way? Like, I like, if I want to specialize as a frost mage, why can't I have my lightning spells, my fire spells, and my frost spells all complement the frost magic school mastery or whatever? Like, that's what I want. I want there to be interplay. I want there to be certain passives on these abilities that make my frost stuff, because that's what I chose to be, more empowered, or, you know, there's allowed a certain interplay to change my rotation up a bit, right? Like, it's that kind of stuff that makes stuff exciting. You know what I mean? Like, and I just don't think that that's at all what we have. Really, what we have is a rudimentary linear playstyle from every class, and if you like that playstyle, great. If you don't like that playstyle, well, tough luck, because that's all you got, and that's how it is. So it's kind of very take it or leave it kind of thing, which is unfortunate, but hey, it's alpha, right? The good thing is that I'm saying this stuff now because I know we have like 5 more years potentially, you know, 3 minimum, but you know, there's a lot of shit they can accomplish in 3 to 5 years. And I think class identity, and for the people that I've spoken with on Discord, the guild discords that I've hopped into to talk to people, class identity is probably one of the most important things that people say about why they choose a class and why they like playing a class. And if you take that away from them from level 1 and force them to basically get that at 25, I just don't know how many players are going to accept that. I don't. It's hard for me to predict, and I think it would be a very bad move on Intrepid's part to wait that long. Let me see. So here's another idea. What if mages could have a choice between speccing into a quick cemental specialist, a single charge, single attack, or an AoE specialist? Well, again, you should be able to do that based off of picking what abilities you want. If you want to be an AoE specialist, then just pick more AoE abilities. Again, Steven always said that the choice, you're going to have anywhere between 30 to 40 abilities, but there's going to be a choice in what points, because you have a finite amount of points you're going to be able to spend off of passives versus active abilities. So if you chose to get certain, like a certain ability with like 3 passives associated with it, and you want every ability to be very empowered by those passives, then you're not going to be able to select all of the abilities, right? But if you chose to have a lot of abilities and not many passives, well, you'll be able to have more abilities, but they're just not going to hit as harder as people who spec into those passives, right? That's how it's always been, especially when it takes so long to level 25. Exactly. And that's the biggest problem for people. Especially because I'm also saying, if you heard me earlier, I said they need a buff leveling, which basically means leveling should take longer than what it currently is now. If you do that, that's going to make the problem even worse for those people. So I think there just needs to be a really heavy, I just think there needs to be a different look at how the devs are approaching class fantasy and also approaching class design with abilities in terms of the talent tree. That's what I'm saying. That should be tied to a weapon, I feel. Wand should be a single target, staff should be AoE. Well, that, again, that should already be built in due to what style you want to play. Because there is going to be, like, one is very single target focused, and right now the orb is very AoE focused. So that further influences your current play style and how you would want to play. Like how, like, do you want to be more single target? Then have a wand. If you want to be more AoE based, then get an orb. That's already the style already. So what if your damage was based off of group damage versus what if your damage was based off of dots versus what if your damage was glass cannon nuke style? There's a large diversity of approaches. Right now it feels more like you'll nuke, but your nuke will be an orange flavor versus apple flavor. Yeah. I mean, right now it's just you're trying to just kill people as fast as possible, right? You're trying to 1-2 tap things, doing an ability. I feel like the interactions between certain abilities aren't as satisfying to pull off because the interaction of abilities is weak. Now, for a lot of mages out there, setting up your shatter and executing your shatter feels pretty good, right? But do you get that same feeling from really any of your other abilities? Do you feel like as a mage, there's another setup that is as satisfying as setting up your shatter? I don't think you would find a mage that would say yes. So all I'm saying is certain passives feel way too weak and underwhelming because really even as a fighter, there isn't really a lot of the interactions that I would say feel extraordinarily satisfying. It feels really good to berserk and reset all of your abilities. That feels really good. But then you're just rinse and repeating the same. It's a very formulaic button pushing. You know, there truly isn't any interactions on the fighter outside of interrupting that is interesting. Like, why would you want, like, there's really not a scenario where you would want to do your lethal blow. Like you can lethal blow or cataclysm, or you can cataclysm and lethal blow. Like you're just hitting abilities. You know what I'm saying? Like there should be more passives that influence a kind of rotation or a kind of way that makes certain ability interaction more interesting. And there just isn't that right now. There isn't anything interesting about pushing these abilities other than just pushing them and watching the animations go off. Let me see. Can I get a heal that is as satisfying, please? Yeah, right. Also, right now you can have every ability on the mage plus 7 passives. Exactly. Because you're level 25, you have basically access to everything. So it's just like whatever, right? That's why when people say, "Oh, like what playstyle are you playing?" I'm like, the one play style that's available. Like, I don't know what you want me to say. Like there's not really different ways to play. Like when people say, "Oh, what's the build? Like, how do I build this class?" I'm like, the one way you build it. I don't know. Like, it's not really a complicated question right now. You know, like every class is very rudimentary in that sense. So I can't really tell people like, oh, well, you're going to have to, for the mage, you're going to have to do it like this and do it like that. Like, see, go from A to B to C to D. There you go. There's your build. That's what I mean, right? So like, as you're leveling, I can understand where people are saying like, hey, what ability should I get? But there isn't any kind of a build as you're leveling that's like defining anything, because eventually you're going to get everything. And then it's just going to be like, okay, then what do I push in what succession? Like as a ranger, that's why I find the ranger to be very dull, because I'm just pushing abilities off of cooldown. Like when I'm talking more from a PvE standpoint, just to be clear. Like it's just, oh, this ability is available, hit it. Okay, let me just do my weapon combo real quick. All right, this ability is off the thing, hit it. And that's the other thing too. The weapon combo system is a whole other can of worms that I think adds another layer of gameplay that is frustrating to deal with. Because if you can explain to me when a ranger with a short bow executes its deadly combo to its extended deadly combo, please explain it to me. Because it's insanely hard to understand like where the combo starts and ends, and that's another frustrating thing as well. I want to wait till my finisher is completely finished, but then there's also like your there's like certain levels of like combos and how long the combo can go on, and there isn't any clear distinction of start to finish. And I think that's another issue, because I don't want to interrupt halfway through a combo, but I can't tell because I'm hitting so fast on the freaking ranger as a short bow that I'm just sort of like, I think it's over. I'm just going to hit this ability now. Maybe I could have had an extended deadly finisher, maybe not. I don't know. Let me see. My options when I was trying ranger were single target and AoE. That was it. Yeah, that's true. That's pretty much it. Yeah, weapons need to be altered as well. Everyone right now is using a bow. Yeah, it's well, and again, it's like bow to me is just very hard to determine for combos. When I play a fighter and I play a two-handed sword, I can actually determine pretty easily when when I'm back, right? Like when I finished my extended deadly finisher and now I'm back to my regular rotation. It's pretty easy to figure that out on a two-handed sword. Not so much on a short bow. So I don't know what they can do. Maybe it's a you know, certain add-ons in WoW used to have like a counter, like almost like a heart monitor, right? So you can actually see like, oh, this is when, you know, you're like, if something gets added on, like, because sometimes it's RNG chance, right? Sometimes you'll only have like your finisher, and then you'll have your deadly finisher, and then you'll have an extended deadly finisher, but that's not all the time, right? And depending on which segment it can be, it just be RNG chance. So I don't know if they're going to be able to do just a visual, like looking at your character when it starts and when it ends. I don't know. So maybe they can add something else to help players understand like when they're finished, when a combo is initiated, when it keeps going, and then when it officially ends. But I think it's right now, it's really hard to keep up with. Let me see. Wanda's probably the only weapon I've seen that has the visual extended deadly finisher. Yeah, I haven't even played with one, so I don't even know. If you want to know how to see when your combo finished as a ranger, watch your barrage CD. The finishers take off 3 seconds from the CD, so when the reduction happens, you finished your combo. Interesting. Okay, so okay, but do you like that? Do you find that to be something engaging for you to watch? I'm just curious. I was shocked when I was told that my bard was best in slot was a bow and not something more caster centric. Yeah, I kind of figured that it was going to be the bow, to be honest. Bows right now are kind of crazy. Long bow you can, short bow, fantasy machine gun at the moment is a little difficult. Yeah, it is. It's super difficult. I wouldn't look too deep into the skills. All that can be changed. This is a playtest to flesh out our framework. No, of course. Everything we're doing is to flesh out their framework even further, right? Obviously I would like something more like weak auras. Yeah, I would just like something like a cast timer, right? So like when you're casting your spells, like you can see like your basic attack, especially when you're in tab, of like when certain things happen. Or I would also like even the text on the mob where it says, you know, whenever you're attacking a mob and it says deadly finisher, extended deadly finisher, you know, or something like that, right? Like but even that would be hard to determine, is it over, right? Just because I saw deadly finisher, can I hit my ability? Because maybe there's gonna be an extended deadly finisher. Like that's the thing with this system that I find to be frustrating, is that I want to use my basic attack combos, but it's frustrating to deal with when, you know, is it over? Like, am I back now to the start? Like, because it's a very split second kind of decision. You know what I mean? So it's just, again, I find it to be annoying as a player to deal with especially when I'm trying to be that kind of player that is min-maxing that particular system. Letting the weapon combo play out is very passive gameplay. I'd prefer to be able to weave abilities in between the combo shots. Well, and here's the thing. I personally wouldn't mind that. If me executing an ability didn't stop my basic attack, right? So that would be very tab gameplay, right? Because you think of World of Warcraft where your auto attack is just going, right? Like you're not worrying about your auto attack. But then I would say that if that's going to be the case, then why do we need a combo system if it's just going to happen passively? You know what I'm saying? My thing is, what I would prefer is potentially a choice. And I don't know if Intrepid can do that. Like, let's say I don't want to deal with weapon combos at all. And I want to just have a passive gameplay. I want to rely off of my abilities and not really my auto attacks. I want to have that play style. Well, then basically the weapon trees need to facilitate more of a passive kind of thing. But if I choose to have a more active basic attack, then I need my talent tree to kind of give me points that, complement my active playstyle. I just don't know what Intrepid would do in that regard. I don't know how they would tackle that particular issue. That is something I would love to talk to Steven about too. It's just, again, like I think there's so many questions that I've had now that I've been playing the game enough to just, I want to understand his philosophy and what he envisions for a particular system. Like, what do you envision for this weapon combo system for weapons? Like, in your mind, what is the finished result? You know what I'm saying? Like, because I would love to know where, because right now I feel like I'm lost on a road and I don't know where the road ends. I don't. Like, I have ideas of what I would like, but I'd be curious to understand, like, where the actual destination is. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Right now, using an ability breaks the combo though. So just to have it sit there and let the auto attack just do its thing, which feels bad with slow weapons. Yes, that's what I mean, right? Like it's a very weird feeling, because for a lot of MMOs, you're basically taught to, once an ability is off of cooldown, you hit it. But in Ashes, you want to incorporate your basic attack. So it feels janky, in my opinion, because you have to hit an ability, then do your basic attack. And the logic is you do your ability, you do your basic attack, it does a deadly finisher, right? And it only does the deadly finisher. It's like, okay, now I hit another ability. Okay, go back to basic attack. Now it does a finisher. Now it does a deadly finisher. Now it does an extended deadly finisher. Okay, now I hit another ability. You see what I'm saying? Like, it feels very quirky. You know what I'm saying? And most people aren't really relying off of the basic attack. Like, they're just hitting their abilities. And whenever their abilities are off of cooldown, that's when they're sort of playing with their basic attacks, right? When they really have nothing else to push. I just don't know if that's the desired, if that's what the devs envisioned for how they wanted to execute their button pushing. I don't know. Like, it's just something to think about. It should just stop you from using an ability until it's over. It would be annoying at first, but would allow players to rotate and engage fights better. I mean, potentially, but I still think that would feel janky, because when you hit an ability and it's like, oh, you can't hit that yet. I don't know. That wouldn't feel good to me. That to me would not feel satisfying. And the thing is, right now, combat feels very satisfying because there's not really any interruptions. There's a lot of people just completely negating the basic attack system completely. Like, we've seen that a lot in the PvP tournaments. Starts humming song, country roads, take me home to a place I belong. Let me see. True, we haven't heard from the Ashes team about the dream/path they want to go towards in some time. We used to hear a lot from Steven about it. What if I want to jump good? Seriously, if it would be cool to have stamina skill tree that is based off of using essence to augment your body to do things. I think that would be a little bit hard. And to be honest, even having like a universal tree and where we influence our dodge, our stamina, our sprint, and our block, I think I really haven't seen a game really do something like that. We don't even have a dodge roll in Ashes or in WoW, I would say. You know, you have to play a monk if you want to roll. You know what I mean? And I like, dude, I love on the fighter having a dodge roll. I love it. Maybe just like a bar down the bottom or above the skills to show us. I mean, potentially. I mean, I don't know. They just need something. The issue I have isn't so much the issue of allowing the auto attack. It's the issue that you have to wait 3 to 5 auto attacks because any use of abilities interrupts the combo count, and the reliance at the moment on the combo damage is strong. Exactly. Because I'm telling you, those weapon trees are powerful, and if you can get off some of the extended deadly finishers on the fighter, it's pretty big damage. It's probably as big of damage as an ability. So if you're not using that or incorporating that, you're kind of doing it wrong. But it feels wrong already. You know what I'm saying? Like, doing it the way I think it's intended feels wrong. It doesn't feel good. You know what I mean? So it's just a hard thing to, I think that Intrepid's going to have to balance, but I also just don't know the philosophy. I don't understand the system. And because I don't understand it, it brings me frustration. You know what I'm saying? ESO has these things. Oh, I see. I'm not an ESO player, so I don't know. I don't know how ESO, you know, because I'm not an ESO player. I don't know. I mean, the only MMOs that I've really played are World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14, SWTOR, Guild Wars 2 a little bit, and that's about it. That's about it. So, oh, hold on, my baby's crying. Let me see, is my wife up? Yeah, she's in the room. Okay. Okay. So let me just kind of tell you guys some news. So I am planning to have several 1v1s coming up soon. I don't know in what order they're going to be in, so I'll just kind of tell you my mode of thinking. I want to have a 1v1 with my boy Nice. I don't know when we'll be able to have it, but I do want to have a conversation with him. I have another 1v1 that I want to do with some people that I'm going to pick regarding professions. I want to have a conversation around professions in general, gathering, processing, crafting, and talk about what do people like about their particular, you know, professions, the good, the bads, the uglies, the things they would like to change, the frustrations they're dealing with, and talk about that on a podcast, and bring like 3 people. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm talking to people right now to have a roundtable discussion about the cleric archetype. And I think I have 2 people that I've confirmed. I'm waiting on the 3rd. And then I got to figure out what day that we can all get on to have that discussion. So I just want to be able to have those kind of conversations and you know, and just see where people are coming from when it comes to professions. How are people feeling about the cleric archetype? Because I know there's been roundtable discussions on the tank. Jamie did one. I think the Golden Feather did one too. So I didn't want to do one on tank, but I do think that, you know, with some of the tank changes they've done now, maybe another one is kind of warranted. But I think I'm gonna do the cleric first, and then I'm gonna move probably to the bard. Because I think those 2, bard is another very interesting one, because bard is a class that needs a lot of balancing. I'll put it to you that way. It needs a lot of balancing. So just to get people, because I think bards have been overpowered since phase 1, and you know, now they have some nerfs, but you know, just to kind of see the kinds of things that, you know, those players are facing, you know what I'm saying? We'll challenge you to a nap. Whoever can nap the longest wins. Oh, you'll beat me at that for sure. I'm pretty sure Steven said there's a huge profession resource update coming. Yeah, it's going to happen at the end of the month in February. But I mean, that doesn't still mean that we can't talk about it, you know? So Let me see. Wasn't Steven supposed to stream Rogue today? No, I think Steven was supposed to. I mean, he was scheduled. I mean, not scheduled, but he did say he was going to stream today. I believe he was going to stream like a story arc or something like that. I remember him talking to Jamie about that he wanted to show off like a story arc or something like that on the game. Oh, Bard is so much fun though. I don't disagree with you. But I do want to hear from people that have been playing Bard at a very high level, and just to see, you know, what are they liking about the Bard? What are they not liking about the Bard? What would they want changed in the Bard? You know, like what their dream Bard would look like. Are they happy with the kind of ability, you know, rotations, you know, things that you can do? Like, do they feel very pigeonholed in their play style? All that stuff. I just want to have a conversation, and I think it'd be a very fun conversation to have personally. But guys, I think I'm going to go ahead and go. My throat is really killing me. I'm really happy that you guys showed up and hung out with me, and I really appreciate the guys keeping up with my coughing. Hopefully it wasn't too annoying, but I'm gonna kind of rest my throat for a little bit. Base framework is more important than anything being discussed in this way and many other streams. Yeah, I mean, we can discuss all that shit. Let me see, is there a roster for me to follow to catch your streams? Yeah, well, if you just hit the follow button on Twitch, or hit the little heart, and if you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, I always stream to both. So if you're subscribed on YouTube, if you hit the heart on Twitch, I usually go live randomly. I don't have a set time anymore because it's just been hard in general to keep a set time, especially me being a father and I've been sick. Usually I always go live on Fridays at 7 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock PM Central. But it's been hard for me to go live there because I was sick. I was under the weather. Sometimes I'll just go out of town, visit family, but I just go live randomly. So if you want to stay up to date when I go live, just hit that follow, hit the subscribe on YouTube. Always appreciate it when people come and hang out. Fupo, you're included in that as well. Always love when you come in and hang out here at my stream. Let me see who is currently streaming right now. Let me see. I see. Oh, Thogley's on. I was hoping to raid Steven, but Steven hasn't came on yet. I will raid Thogley because he is streaming Ashes. Oh man. All right, guys. You guys have a great day. I really appreciate you guys coming and hanging out, and I'll see you guys hopefully very soon. Take care, guys.